Hello sports fans, welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we're going to be going over my Week 3 XFL Power Rankings. So, going over last week's rankings and what those teams did in Week 2. Last week at number 8, I had the Guardians. They got destroyed by the Brahmas 30-12. 7 was the Vipers. They lost to the Defenders 18-6. 6 was the Brahmas. They picked up their first win of the season with a 30-12 dominant victory over the Guardians. 5 was the Sea Dragons. They lost 20-18 to the Battlehawks. 4 was the Battlehawks. They just escaped Seattle with the 20-18 win. 3 was the Defenders. They beat the Vipers 18-6. 2 was the Renegades. They lost to the Roughnecks 23-14. And 1 was the Roughnecks, who beat the Renegades 23-14. So this week's rankings, at number 10, I've got the Orlando Guardians. They've remained at number 8. They have not been good. They lost big time once again, 30-12. Now the Guardians, they started strong with the opening drive touchdown, but that's where the good things ended. They need to figure out quarterback. They played 2 quarterbacks against the Brahmas, Paxton Lynch and DeAndre Francois. Neither were that good. But the Guardians, they need to leave their quarterbacks in for more than a drive or two to let them have a chance to get into a rhythm. The Guardians also need to be more disciplined, as they had a lot of penalties against the Brahmas, and they also need much better play calling, as it has been terrible through the first 2 weeks. But the Guardians, they've got lots of problems to fix, and they're by far the worst team after 2 weeks of play. Number 7, we've got the Vegas Vipers. So they fell to 0-2 after a sloppy loss to the Defenders. They could not stop the Defenders' rushing attack. Their defense started off good, forcing multiple turnovers and holding the Defenders scoreless in the first half, but then they could not stop the Defenders' rushing attack in the second half. The Vipers weren't helped by bad field conditions and heavy rain, but they fall to 0-2 and are at number 7. Number 6, we've got the Seattle Sea Dragons. So they lost on the last play of the game for the second straight week. They lost at a walk-off field goal. Their offense was pretty good, but their defense once again lost them the game. They could not hold the Battlehawks even after the Sea Dragons scored to go up with a little over a minute to go in the game. And Sea Dragons just need to learn how to finish games, but I think they're still a good team. As long as they're able to finish and put teams away, they could be a good team in the XFL. But they have a big game against the Vipers next week. They come in at number 6. Number 5 is the Brahmas. So they picked up their first win of the season with a dominant showing over the Guardians. 30-12 was the final score. They played a great game to shut down the Guardians' offense. They were great offensively with 3 touchdown passes from Jack Cohn, their quarterback, and the Brahmas picked up their first win of the season there at number 5. Number 4 is the DC Defenders. So they do fall, despite the win. They got the win against the Vipers, but they weren't great. They won 18-6. They really had no offensive success until they put D'Ara King in quarterback for the start of the fourth quarter. Now, the Defenders' offense definitely looks better with D'Ara King at quarterback, but I don't think you can play him as your quarterback for the entire game, because they almost exclusively run the football with him in at quarterback, and I think that would just make it too obvious to opposing teams that they're going to run the football and they should stack the box. But I do like the idea of putting D'Ara King in sort of like a closer in the fourth quarter, like how they've been doing. I think that's a good strategy. But they need to be a bit more balanced offensively, as their passing attack through the first 2 weeks has been awful. And the Defenders, their defense was also good in the win. They held the Vipers to just 6 points. And their defense definitely appears to be a strength of the team. They're the team that's got the good run game, the good defense. They just need to have a much better passing attack, so their offense isn't one-dimensional. And I have the Defenders coming in at number 4. Number 3, we've got the Arlington Renegades. So they suffered their first loss of the season to the Houston Roughnecks. Their offense was better, but I still have concerns about their offense, because they scored 14 points, but all those points came off turnovers. They scored 2 touchdowns where they forced 2 fumbles on a punt return and had tremendous starting field position. So the Renegades' offense has still not been great, and in fact, they've still never had your traditional go right down the field and score a touchdown drive. They have never done that this season. And now, I would like to see some changes to the Renegades' offense. I would like to see maybe Kyle Sloter in at quarterback and see if he can help the offense, because Drew Play, he hasn't been terrible, but he has not been able to have the offense really be great. So I'd like to potentially see Kyle Sloter see some action next week against the Guardians, but I've got the Renegades at number 3. Number 2, we've got the St. Louis Battlehawks. So they're in at number 2 after 2 comeback wins in a row. The Battlehawks, they've got a great quarterback in A.J. McCarron. He's been the only starting quarterback to not throw an interception. So that's been very, very good for the Battlehawks, not turning the football over. And they're a very good team, a team that I feel will play a lot of very close games and end up on the winning side of most of them, and may even win some games they shouldn't. They're going to be that team where they're kind of a surprising team with how do they win some of the games, some of those games. They're going to be a good team, and they're definitely a very resilient team, and they're number 2 in my power rankings. And number 1, I'm sure it's not a surprise, the Houston Roughnecks. They are still yet to lose a game in franchise history, 7-0 combining 2020 and this season. The Roughnecks are the clear team to beat in the XFL. They have a good offense, a great defense, and obviously that a big reason why is a great defensive-minded head coach Wade Phillips. And they face another tough test next week in the other Texas team after defeating the Arlington Renegades. They face the San Antonio Brahmas next week in a game that should be a really good game. But those are my Week 3 XFL Power Rankings. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible. Let me know in the comments if you agree with my rankings, disagree, and why. But I do my best to post as often as possible. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.